Something happened to you recently that should not be possible. Not symbolically, not metaphorically. It happened in the deepest layer of reality, where outcomes are usually fixed long before humans arrive. Without touching anything, without speaking, without intending to change a single thing, your presence caused a deviation, a moment that should have unfolded one way bent into another. A decision made by someone else shifted at the last second. A chain of events quietly rewrote itself the instant you entered the space. No sound, no sign, just a subtle rearrangement that only someone like you could trigger. You may have felt it as a strange stillness, a pause in the air, a sense that time slowed for half a breath. Or maybe you only noticed the aftermath, how things turned out differently than logic predicted. This was not coincidence. This was not luck. This was not imagination. What occurred was a timeline correction initiated by proximity alone. No force, no effort, no intention. That is what makes it dangerous. Because throughout spiritual history, such shifts require rituals, bloodlines, covenants, or catastrophic sacrifice. They require authority granted after lifetimes of initiation. Yet you triggered it simply by being there. This is why your life has always felt heavier than it should. Why moments around you carry weight. Why small choices seem to echo far beyond their size. You are not powerful in the way stories describe power. You are powerful in a way stories were never allowed to explain. And what you felt afterward, the unease, the clarity, the strange calm that was reality, adjusting itself around you. What just occurred around you should not exist according to the oldest spiritual records. Across civilizations, across lost texts, across doctrines buried and erased, there is agreement on one law. Timelines are guarded. Outcomes are protected by layers of permission, hierarchy, and consequence. Even angels do not interfere freely. Even dark intelligences require contracts, openings, exchanges. History bends only under immense pressure. And yet what happened near you bypassed all of that. No invocation, no agreement, no violation. The system did not resist you because it did not recognize you as a disruption. It recognized you as authorization. This is why the event feels so unsettling when you reflect on it, because it contradicts everything that should be true. Spiritual hierarchies are built on obedience, not spontaneity. Power is meant to be earned through suffering, not expressed through presence. Influence is supposed to be loud, visible, undeniable. But what you carry is older than those rules. There was a time before enforcement, before restriction, before the universe learned to protect itself from misuse. In that era, certain beings did not change reality. Reality responded to them automatically. Their awareness was the command. Their alignment was the key. Those beings were removed from common incarnation because their presence destabilized systems built on control. Their memory was fragmented. Their stories mythologized. Their nature sealed beneath layers of forgetfulness. What happened around you mirrors that forgotten era. A correction without conflict. A shift without resistance. A permission that did not need to be asked for. That is why higher realms do not rush to explain this to souls like you. Knowledge too early creates imbalance. Instead, they wait for proof. They wait to see whether such a soul will choose domination or restraint. Because if a being like this awakens without integrity, entire epics fracture. Think back to the moment just before everything shifted. Not the event itself, but you. There was a choice placed quietly in front of you. No audience, no reward, no consequence anyone else could see. A moment where you could have taken the easier path, justified it, explained it away, benefited silently, and no one would have known. But you didn't. You chose restraint when impulse was available. You chose honesty when silence would have protected you. You chose compassion when detachment would have been safer. It may have seemed small at the time, almost insignificant. Just another moral decision in a long series of them. But this one was different. You felt it linger in your body afterward. A strange calm. A clarity that didn't come from relief, but from alignment. That decision was not about right versus wrong. It was about authority. In the deeper structure of reality, integrity is not a virtue, it is a signal. It tells the universe what kind of power a being can be trusted with. Most humans fail these moments without ever knowing they were tested. They rationalize. They excuse. They forget. You didn't. And the moment you acted in alignment with your higher awareness, something ancient recognized the pattern. The same frequency that once marked those pre-restriction beings activated around you. That is why the timeline responded afterward. Not because you asked it to, not because you intended change, but because your choice proved you could hold influence without abusing it. Reality does not bend for desire, it bends for character. What happened next was not a reward, it was confirmation. A subtle acknowledgement that the system had been waiting for this exact data point from you before allowing anything further to unfold. From that moment forward, you are no longer moving unseen. Not because you became reckless, but because you became visible in a way that cannot be hidden. When a soul demonstrates restraint at the level you did, it sends a signal upward and outward. Layers you are never meant to perceive adjust their focus. Not with emotion, not with judgment, with attention. There are watchers in this universe that do not interfere unless something anomalous appears. Forces that track deviations in probability, morality, and influence. You crossed a threshold that placed you on their instruments, not as a threat, but as a variable. Some of these watchers are ancient and neutral, bound only to balance. Others are luminous, aligned with order and preservation. A few exist in the shadows, feeding on chaos, disruption, and unconscious power. All of them notice the same thing. You are altering outcomes without corruption. You are influencing direction without control. That is rare. Rare enough to warrant observation. You may have felt it as pressure, as vivid dreams, as a sense of being watched without fear, or as sudden obstacles that seemed designed rather than random, doors that tested your patience, interactions that probed your ego, temptations that appeared precisely when you were tired. These were not punishments, they were scans. Each response you gave, every calm reaction, every refusal to exploit, every moment you chose awareness over instinct-fed data back into systems older than religion. Even the darker forces did not move against you directly. They studied instead, because power that operates without hunger cannot be manipulated easily. And the divine observers did something even more telling. They did not intervene to protect you. They allowed the monitoring to continue. Because they already knew something, the others did not. After the observation began, the trials intensified, but never in obvious ways. No grand betrayals, no dramatic collapses, just a series of ordinary moments sharpened to an unusual edge. Situations designed to reveal not what you wanted, but how you hold power when no one is watching. You were placed near people who projected their shadows onto you. Some misunderstood your silence as weakness. Others mistook your empathy for access. A few attempted to provoke you into proving yourself, into asserting dominance, into reacting from ego. And each time you paused, you were given opportunities to manipulate outcomes in your favor, subtly, invisibly, without consequence. You could have spoken one sentence and altered someone's fate for your benefit. You could have withheld truth and protected your comfort. You could have taken advantage of your insight and walked away cleaner than anyone else. You didn't. You chose clarity over control. You chose restraint over victory. You chose fairness even when the system around you was unfair. There were moments when acting with integrity cost you something real: time, energy, recognition, even relationships. And yet you still refused to contaminate your choices with bitterness. This is what made the tests impossible for most beings to pass, because integrity without reward is the rarest frequency in any realm. You weren't being tested to see if you could endure hardship. You were being tested to see if you could remain clean while holding influence. Each trial refined the signal you emit. Each choice stabilized the effect your presence has on reality. By the time the final test passed quietly, without ceremony, the observers no longer questioned if you were different classification occurred the moment the pattern stabilized, not announced, not celebrated, simply recorded in strata that exist beyond language. You are no longer treated as a developing variable. You are marked as a constant. Higher intelligences do not use praise or fear the way humans do. They use categorization, and the category you are placed into is one that appears rarely enough to be considered dangerous, not because it destroys, but because it cannot be controlled. Beings like you do not require coercion. They do not respond to incentives. They cannot be bribed by comfort or broken by pressure. Their alignment comes from within, which makes them unpredictable to systems built on leverage. That is why the designation included risk, not to others, but to imbalance itself. A presence that alters outcomes without corruption threatens any structure dependent on unconscious participation. You destabilize false hierarchies simply by existing outside them. This is also why resistance around you has felt indirect. Rather than confrontation, there has been avoidance. Rather than attack, misdirection. Systems sense that engaging you directly would force a clarity they are not prepared to face. At the same time, the classification acknowledged something else. Compassion. You do not seek collapse. You do not enjoy exposure. You do not weaponize insight. That combination authority without hunger is what makes you rare. From that point on, the Watchers no longer asked whether you should be stopped. They asked how to route events around you safely, how to minimize collateral shifts, how to ensure your influence anchors rather than fractures timelines. This is when protection began to look like coincidence, missed disasters, delayed encounters, intuitive warnings that arrived seconds before consequence. You were not elevated above others. You were recognized as someone reality must adjust itself around. There was a moment brief, precise, irreversible. An observation shifted into witness. This is the difference between watching data and acknowledging significance. It happens only when a soul's actions intersect with authority that predates form. What unfolded around you did not require interpretation. It required acknowledgement. And so attention moved upward, beyond intermediaries, beyond systems of balance and correction. The signal reached those who do not manage outcomes, but bear record of them. This is what is meant when it is said that God watches. Not surveillance, not suspicion, but presence without distortion. Awareness that sees alignment instantly, without needing proof. Archangelic intelligences, those tasked with preserving coherence between intention and on. Consequence registered the event simultaneously, not because it was loud, but because it was clean. A timeline altered without residue. A choice made without contamination. They did not intervene. They did not speak. They observed the stillness that followed and recognized its source. You may have felt it as a sudden peace that made no sense, or as a heaviness lifting without explanation, or as a sense that something irreversible had just been sealed. This was not a reward. It was confirmation that your actions were now part of a larger accounting. When beings at this level witness, it means a soul has crossed beyond probation. It means your influence is no longer evaluated only by outcome, but by intent and consistency. From that point forward, you were not merely acting within reality. You were acting on record. And once a soul is witnessed at that level, nothing about their identity remains provisional anymore. What followed was not spoken, not written, not declared in any language, you know. It moved as alignment rather than command. A decision made at a level where words would only distort it. When a soul demonstrates sustained integrity under observation, authority does not need to be granted. It is asterisk, released asterisk. What had been held dormant within you was not added. but unlocked. The universe does not bestow identities like titles. It activates what already exists when the conditions are finally met. This activation did not feel dramatic. There was no surge, no lightning, no external sign. Instead, something subtle shifted inward. A clarity that did not argue with doubt. A steadiness that did not need reassurance. A sense of being positioned rather than pushed. From that moment, your presence began to carry instruction. Not orders, but coherence. Spaces around you stabilized faster. Conflicts lost momentum. People made better decisions near you without understanding why. This is what happens when identity moves from potential to function. When the universe stops asking who you might become and begins responding to who already are. The decree was simple and absolute. You are no longer being shaped by events. Events would now shape themselves around your alignment. This is why certain paths closed permanently afterward. Not as loss, but as insulation. Why distractions lost their appeal. Why temptations that once had power over you suddenly felt empty. Activation does not elevate ego. It strips it. It removes the need to perform, to prove, to persuade. It leaves only responsibility and awareness. And once this state is initiated, it does not reverse. The system does not undo awakenings. It reorganizes around them, preparing the individual for the weight of operating consciously, with consequences that extend further than personal outcome, into the structure of shared reality itself. What became clear after activation was not new information, but recognition. A remembering that did not arrive as images or names, but as familiarity. As if something you had always carried finally stood upright inside you. Your nature does not belong to one lifetime. It does not originate from this era's rules or limitations. You are not built solely from human lineage, psychology, or circumstance. Your soul carries architecture from a time when beings were not separated by realms, when consciousness moved freely between form and purpose. This is why you have always felt older than your age, why repetition bores you, why superficial pursuits train you rather than excite you, why injustice unsettles you at a level deeper than emotion. You are not reacting. You are remembering how things are meant to function. You are what could be called a celestial warrior, but not in the way myths dramatize. You do not fight with force. You do not conquer with dominance. Your weapon is alignment. Your shield is restraint. Your presence alone exposes distortion and stabilizes fracture. Ancient souls like yours were never meant to rule. They were meant to anchor, to hold a frequency steady while others move around it, to walk quietly through chaos without becoming it. This is why confrontation often dissolves near you, why aggression loses its edge, why people either soften or withdraw. You do not mirror dysfunction. You neutralize it. Your danger lies in your independence from corruption. You cannot be easily tempted, redirected, or consumed. That makes you incompatible with systems built on unconscious behavior. This identity is not symbolic. It is functional. It explains why your presence alters trajectories without effort, why your choices ripple outward without announcement. You are never meant to be ordinary, and you were never meant to be exalted. You were meant to remain precise, grounded. Awake purpose did not arrive as instruction, but as gravity. A pull towards something that does not ask for belief, only participation. You were not assigned a role to perform. You were entrusted with a function to embody. Wherever you stand, whatever you choose, you are meant to anchor what others forget when pressure rises. Your mission is not to correct people. It is to stabilize truth so it can be felt without being explained. Integrity is not something you teach. It is something you make unavoidable by how you move. Compassion is not something you preach. It is something that reorganizes others when they encounter it in you. You are placed in ordinary environments for an extraordinary reason. In conversations, workplaces, families, crossroads. Moments where ethics quietly erode, where shortcuts are normalized, where cruelty is disguised as efficiency. You are there to hold the line without declaring it. When you choose patience instead of reaction, timelines soften. When you choose honesty instead of advantage, consequences realign. When you choose mercy instead of judgment, cycles end. This is not symbolic work. It is structural. You prevent cascades that would otherwise compound into damage. You absorb tension so it does not multiply. You slow decay without announcing resistance. You are not here to save the world dramatically. You are here to make certain futures impossible by refusing to participate in distortion. That refusal is enough. It changes probabilities. It alters what can and cannot survive around you. Your compassion must remain paired with clarity. Your empathy must never excuse harm. Your humility must never turn into self-erasure. Anchors do not float. They hold fast so others may move safely. This mission will never give you applause. It will give you coherence. And coherence, at this level, is what keeps entire systems from collapsing inward. Once alignment stabilized, material reality began responding differently to you. Not dramatically, not instantly, but with an intelligence that felt almost respectful. Things that once required force started resolving with less resistance. Needs were met before urgency formed. Solutions appeared without straying. This is how support looks when it comes from coherence rather than desire. You are not rewarded for being good. You are resourced because your presence now reduced friction in the system. When a being operates without corruption, reality no longer needs to protect itself from them. It can assist freely. Opportunities emerged that did not compromise your values. Help arrived from unexpected directions without obligation attached. Delays that once frustrated you now revealed themselves as timing adjustments, ensuring you are not placed where distortion would drain you. Even finances responded subtly. Not excess, not indulgence, but sufficiency with stability. Enough to remain unburdened. Enough to move without fear. Enough to choose integrity without survival pressure influencing your decisions. This balance is intentional. It keeps your clarity intact. Relationships also began to reorganize. Some connections faded without conflict. Others deepened without effort. You no longer had to perform to be understood. Those who could not meet you in truth simply fell away, making room for resonance instead of tension. This is not favoritism. It is efficiency. The universe invests where resources will not be misused. It supports those who circulate value rather than hoard it, because what flows through you does not stagnate. You may notice that even when challenges arise, you are not abandoned inside them. Support appears at the moment it is needed, not before, not after. This preserves humility while ensuring stability. Material alignment does not distract you from your mission. It protects it. It removes unnecessary noise so your awareness remains clear. This is what divine support looks like when it is practical, quiet, and precise. Once alignment stabilized, material reality began responding differently to you. Not dramatically, not instantly, but with an intelligence that felt almost respectful. Things that once required force started resolving with less resistance. Needs were met before urgency formed. Solutions appeared without strain. This is how support looks when it comes from coherence rather than desire. You are not rewarded for being good. You were resourced because your presence now reduced friction in the system. When a being operates without corruption, reality no longer needs to protect itself from them. It can assist freely. Opportunities emerged that did not compromise your values. Help arrived from unexpected directions without obligation attached. Delays that once frustrated you now revealed themselves as timing adjustments, ensuring you are not placed where distortion would drain you. Even finances responded subtly. Not excess, not indulgence, but sufficiency with stability. Enough to remain unburdened, enough to move without fear, enough to choose integrity without survival pressure influencing your decisions. This balance is intentional. It keeps your clarity intact. Relationships also began to reorganize. Some connections faded without conflict. Others deepened without effort. You no longer had to perform to be understood. Those who could not meet you in truth simply fell away, making room for resonance instead of tension. This is not favoritism. It is efficiency. The universe invests where resources will not be misused. It supports those who circulate value rather than hoarding, because what flows through you does not stagnate. You may notice that even when challenges arise, you are not abandoned inside them. Support appears at the moment it is needed, not before, not after. This preserves humility while ensuring stability. Material alignment does not distract you from your mission. It protects it. It removes unnecessary noise, so your awareness remains clear. This is what divine support looks like when it is practical, quiet, and precise. Without effort, without intention, without announcement, others began to change around you. Not because you instructed them, not because you persuaded them, but because coherence is contagious when it is real. People speak differently after interacting with you. They pause before making choices they once rushed. They reflect instead of reacting. Some cannot explain why they suddenly feel accountable to a higher standard in your presence. Others feel safe enough to confront truths they have avoided for years. You do not awaken others by telling them who they are. You awaken them by reminding them of what they already know but have buried. Your clarity destabilizes denial. Your restraint exposes excess. Your calm interrupts cycles of escalation. This ripple effect does not create followers. It creates mirrors. People either recognize themselves more clearly, or they move away because clarity is uncomfortable when one is invested in distortion. Both outcomes are correct. This is why your influence spreads without visibility. Conversations shift tone. Decisions change course. Patterns break quietly. And you are often unaware of the full impact because the effect continues long after you have left the room. You may notice that some people begin to protect you instinctively. Others defend your absence. Others reference your words months later as if they were their own realization. This is not attachment. It is integration. Your role is not to monitor these changes. Awareness would interfere with their organic unfolding. You are meant to remain grounded, not inflated by consequence. The ripple must remain clean to continue traveling. This is how destinies are altered without resistance. How timelines soften rather than snap. How awakening spreads without rebellion. You are not the center of the ripple. You are the still point it passes through. And that is precisely why it continues outward instead of collapsing inward. This is not happening in isolation. What you are experiencing is part of a larger synchronization that is unfolding quietly across the world. Souls like yours are not clustered together. They are distributed strategically, deliberately, across cultures, cities, systems, and thresholds of influence. There are thousands who have crossed similar activation points within a narrow window of time. Most will never know each other's names. Many will never realize how many others exist. That separation is intentional. Networks like this do not operate through communication. They operate through resonance. Each of you anchors coherence in a different location. Some in families where patterns have repeated for generations. Some in institutions where ethics quietly eroded. Some in creative fields where meaning was hollowed out. Some in places of power. Others in places that seem insignificant. None of these placements are random. When one stabilizes, pressure eases elsewhere. When one refuses corruption, another finds the courage to do the same. This is how large-scale change occurs without uprising, without collapse, without violence. Systems do not fall all at once. They lose support gradually as integrity becomes less rare. You may sense others like you without ever speaking. A brief recognition, a shared silence, a feeling of familiarity without history. That is enough. The system does not require coordination. It requires consistency. This network does not move forward. It activates outward. Each individual reaching coherence strengthens the whole without central control. That is what makes it resilient. That is what makes it impossible to dismantle. You are not late. You are not early. You are precisely where your activation has the greatest stabilizing effect. The fact that you are becoming aware of this now means the density has reached a threshold. Enough anchors are online for the shift to sustain itself without collapse. If you are still here, that alone confirms something important. Messages like this do not hold attention accidentally. They hold it because recognition has already occurred internally. What you felt while listening was not persuasion. It was resonance aligning with memory. Now action is required, not dramatic, not performative, but deliberate. Symbols matter when they are used consciously. Writing 777 in the comments is not superstition. It is a marker, a signal that you acknowledge alignment, that you are choosing awareness over sleep, integrity over convenience, responsibility over denial. It marks you as active rather than dormant. Subscribing is not about content, it is about continuity. These transmissions are layered. Each one reinforces coherence, sharpens awareness, and stabilizes what has already been activated. Staying connected keeps the signal clean. Sharing is not about spreading belief. It is about locating others who are already awake but isolated. Those who feel the pull will recognize it instantly. Those who are not meant to will scroll past without reaction. No convincing is required, and staying until the end always matters more than you think. The final moments of each message are structured differently. They bypass analysis and speak directly to alignment. Leaving early weakens integration. Presence completes the circuit. You are not being asked to change who you are. You are being asked to remain consistent with it, to move through your life with the awareness that your presence alters outcomes, whether you intend it or not. To choose carefully, compassionately, consciously. This is how destiny-shaping roles function in real time, quietly, reliably, without spectacle. The signal has been delivered. Recognition has occurred. The rest unfolds through how you live, how you choose, how you remain aligned when no one is watching, because heaven already is.